Hi, it's me again with Corel Tips and Tricks. This makes a lot more sense. I was confused. I thought he wanted to remove the dragon. Well, he wants to remove the dragon for the artwork and leave and have a black fill around it. I think it's going to be pretty easy. This thing is 126 millimeters. I'm going to set my nudge factor on 140, and I'm going to grab that green. I'm going to nudge it over. I'm going to grab the white. Probably, I don't know if you're going to want to use the white, but maybe so. So I'm going to get all the detail of the dragon. I'm going to get all these little parts, and it, now that I think about it, it might be a little more difficult than I was thinking because of the fact that it I don't know if I'm going to. Well, let's just see what it works. So we've got the dragon, and if we look at underneath view and wireframe, we've got all the parts. So go back to view and enhanced, and he wants a black background around it. Well, it's ungrouped, so we can use the boundary tool, but the boundary tool kind of gives us that might end up helping us. But what I can do now that it's a boundary, I can click on it and I can go to effects and contour. Tell you what I'm going to do first. I'm going to turn this to red, a red hairline. And then because I'm going to contour in black, so I'm just going to go one step of, say, we're working in millimeters, so I'm going to say point or maybe 5 millimeters and hit that. And that might not be enough. He can decide pretty much on that. And I just realized I'm going to have to do some other things to his eyes, but I think we can get that. Let me back up a little bit. Let me go 0.9 or 9 millimeters, and I'm using square corners, so that didn't work. So I'm going to go to rounded corners, and I'm going to do this right here. And that's actually too much. Let's back up here, and let's just go like 6. That gives us a good boundary around and he can change that, whatever he wants to do. And now because we've contoured it, we need to go to effects and object and break the contour apart. And then we need to basically take this black line and nudge it over to here. Now, if we take the Smart Fill tool now and fill this in, we don't have his eyes and we don't have some of his fingers, but we can very easily do that because his eyes, we can take the Smart Fill tool and let's just tell you what, let's fill it in with white and maybe it'll, let's make it black. Tell you what, let's just fill them in with black. He can play with the colors. That doesn't look too bad. And some of his fingers didn't get. Now I'm going to do them I'm going to do these definitely in another color. Let's use red for right now and nudge them over. And part of it, well, his tongue's there. He can change the color of the nostrils. We're working with let's put a yellow box around it. Go up to object, order, back a page. So everything that is yellow is transparent. So he could actually do a lot of coloration here. We could get our Smart Fill tool. Well, I'll tell you what, let's make those, one thing I didn't do is keep a copy of it. It would have helped to keep a copy of it to change. But we can take the color eyedropper tool and take a sample. Whoop. It might be a little more difficult than I think. Yep. So what we're going to have to do is take these. Let me get this out of the way. And I'm going to select the red and nudge them over. That one's actually green underneath. Now we can take the Smart Fill tool and get the eyedropper and say we want that color. Zoom in here. I should change my nudge, but see, we can change these to that green and then just nudge them back over. That looks pretty good. Now, as far as the white, because this is transparent, and because we can do this, we can left click, right click, and I'd actually change that to a hairline so it'll fill in more, and let's left click, right click, turn that into a hairline. You just get more for your money if you do it that way. And we could change the outline to black. And then we could change the eyeballs to white. And he could do anything he wants to with these. See, like that's transparent. You might want to make those black. So we can just take the Smart Fill tool, set on black, and fill these in. And he might want the yellow or might want the transparent, you know, depending on what you're going to print on. If you're going to print on a green, then those transparent parts are going to be green. Now the contour might be a little bit much, a little bit bigger than he wants. He might even want to, you know, have a rectangle in black. So let's just kind of do that. You could take a rectangle and you cannot, well, you can, I'm just going to make it black. I just did a video on CMYK and that's CMYK. So it's not as black as normal, and go to order back a page and got to take the yellow now and put it in the back of page or just delete it. And that's what you have. We're missing some other parts, but they're kind of, you know, like this right here, might be hard to capture that. Tell you what, let's do it in red. I think that's going to make the whole thing red because that's part of it. But that could be, you could draw that, you know, draw that other whisker. Oh, I missed the other eye. So what we're going to do is take the Smart Fill tool and nudge that over, and then make them white. And there's still a lot of work that could be done to it, you know, like filling in that, because that's kind of don't know really what that is. You know, we could move these over, and that would add a little bit to it, maybe. Nah, not really part of well, it might be part of the drawing. And that doesn't look half bad. I just don't know what entirely he's going to do. You know, if he was going to print on a blue shirt, object, order, back a page, or blue something. So all that transparent part could be filled in. I didn't really realize. Let me make that thing yellow, make it really stand out. You could fix this by fixing some parts that are going to leak. Like we could let's take a 3-point curve line and go from there to there and then nudge that over. Okay, I'm going to draw in hairline. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to hit F12 on my keyboard with nothing selected, and I'm going to change it to a hairline. And actually, I draw in black hairline, but it doesn't really matter what color it is this time. And you could do this, kind of follow that mouth. We've got to stop this leak from coming in. And so what we could do is take a 3-point line again and go from there to about there and put a little curve. And you know what we could do? Maybe we could fix his jaw right here and have it stop leaking. I think that'll stop it. Take the Smart Fill tool, set on black, and then fill that. Well, where's my line I created a while ago? Got to have a line. I don't know what I did. Take the Smart Fill tool, set on black, and see how it filled in. I'm going to back up so it filled in all the black. That looks pretty good. And you could do kind of the same thing on his mouth. You know, if you wanted that part right there, we could do the same thing. 3-point. I love the 3-point curve line. We could go all the way to there. And you could adjust that. Take the shape tool, add a node right there and just kind of bring that up a little bit. And then you could take the Smart Fill tool. It's going to leak right there. And maybe that's not a bad thing, because we could take a 3-point curve line and let's just put it like right there. Take the Smart Fill tool and hopefully fill that in with black. And then just keep playing. You know, go around his nose, you know, go around his mouth some more. I almost just can't stop. 3-point curve line. You know, let's go here, stop, go here, stop, go way out here. You don't ever want to go too far with the 3-point curve line. I didn't hit that node very good. Want to be on the node. See, if you go too far, then you could take your Smart Fill tool and fill that in with black. And you could do the same thing around his nose. But he actually wanted a black background around it, so if we take this, you know, some of those aren't going to really show up. Anyway, I'm just trying different colors. Black's probably going to be the best. And see, that's a CMYK black, because I was doing a video for somebody who was using CMYK earlier. That looks pretty good. Anyway, hope that helped him a little bit. Thank you for watching.